All right, here we are. Welcome to the Good Dudes Real Estate Podcast. My name is Cameron Cassidy. I'm with my partner in crime here, Simon Habibi.
Hello.
And we're back. We had a little hiatus there. We had some technical difficulties, we'll call them. And so the Good Dudes Real Estate Podcast, we are two sales reps in the Durham region, and we are giving you a behind the scenes of what it's like in real estate world. So we are both active investors. We are both helping clients in a number of different aspects. So we are going to give you our weekly updates. We're going to talk about some hot topics today. And it just gives a little bit of behind the scenes of real estate in Durham region and what's happening in our lives. So I hope you enjoy the show. Please like, subscribe, leave a comment. It helps us, and we'd love to interact and hear if you have any questions or concerns or topics you think that we should be covering.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So let's get into it, Cam. Let's do a quick weekly update, as we always do. I'll go first. So I've had, we've both been working on two listings that we've had on the market. Fortunately, we haven't been able to sell them. And that's because we're seeing a lot of inventory come to market, right? So we're seeing a lot of, from times of when there was, 10 to 15 listings a day, we've now moved up to 30, 40, sometimes even 50 listings a day just in Oshawa.
Yeah,
and then there's the surrounding areas.
2 days where we had 58 listings in each day. And I think we both agree that the challenge of tenants has been, it's my thinking anyways, the biggest holdback as to why they're not selling, because both are solid properties in good areas. So what are your thoughts on them? Yeah,
I think I would say the same thing, because the issues that we've noticed is that, yes, both properties are in nice locations and they're good properties, in fact, but they both remain with the same issue in that there's tenants in there, so getting showings is difficult. But besides that, there's nothing else against it. I mean, my only other thing would be there's a lot of inventory coming to the market, so people have a lot of options, and we did have offers on the properties, but nothing worth our clients' while.
Yeah, I think we'll get into a bit of the market update later on. What else has happened with you? I heard you told me you tried door knocking yesterday.
Yeah, so I have we both have clients who are looking at potential land assembly deals. So for people who don't know, so a land assembly deal, would be when we find 3 to 4 properties side by side that an investor or a developer can purchase all at the same time, or with plans of purchasing all of them throughout their journey, and essentially taking 4 or 5 lots, combining them, and building something of greater nature. So typically an apartment building or a commercial strip, let's call it. So what I've been doing is I've been strategically finding properties that have good frontage, good depth, and also on a really busy intersection. So this particular property was in Whitby at Roslyn and Gerrard area. So I found 3 lots. Each lots were 78 by 200 foot in depth. So perfect. When you combine them, you're getting almost an acre of space. And then once you do the density calculation, you can hit almost anywhere between 100 to 150 units on these properties. So it becomes it becomes a high demand property for a lot of developers. So I found out who the owners were. I wrote a letter, attached my business card to it, went, knocked on one door, and I give them my spiel as to why I'm here, who sent me, and initially, when I started the conversation, they seemed friendly. They were listening to me. But then as soon as I said, have you thought about selling your house? That's when the defense guard came up and, shut me down real quick and said, if I was looking to sell my house, I would call a realtor myself. I don't need anyone knocking on my door. Just told me to F off and shut the door. And that was that's pretty much my first time going in door knocking. So it was a nice rude awakening, but I guess it happens. It's part of the game, and one door shuts, another one opens. But I decided I'm just going to leave my letter there anyways, because it's going to be in her mind that I approached them and I spoke to them.
That's my favorite part of the story. Is you still left the letter.
I still left the letter just in case she goes, that she sleeps on it. She wakes up today. She's like, maybe we should sell.
You're getting
the
a bad Google review for sure. Your website review or Facebook review. We'll see.
Something, yeah.
She's not going to be happy, but that's. I'm surprised she's not polite about it. Just saying, I mean, thanks, but no thanks. You know, I'd reach out to my realtor, but yeah.
And a lot of what I'm noticing is that a lot of the prime properties that I'm kind of identifying as, this looks like a good potential, when I dive deep into it, it seems like these properties are owned by realtors. So every single corner unit in a prime location is owned by a realtor. And I think it just comes down to, they can see what's happening in communities. They can kind of project what's going to happen, right? So a lot of the downtown Oshawa, a lot of the prime real estate is owned by realtors. A lot of the coffee shops, a lot of the big commercial properties, everything's, and you've said it. You've said a lot of the good properties have been identified by realtors and bought by realtors.
Yeah, and realtors understand the process. They understand the value. They are, they're not always. They may be licensed, but they're not always active either. But they're in real estate, and they see the potential of these properties and that, right, and are doing kind of like what we're doing with different land assembly deals and trying to put bigger deals together, right, which is
I mean, that's one story that's on the bad side, and then another particular area where I went and I door knocked and found a place where,
because you already have one under contract, right?
Yeah, exactly. I have
that's
one
awesome.
under contract, and I'm so this particular area, there's one under contract, but then there is 4 other people that I need to convince. One, on a much larger lot, and then 2 other people that have smaller properties. But one of the owners owns 3 properties side by side, so it makes my job easier because I need to work on one person, and if I can convince, I'll get 3 people. So this was nice. Like I approached them. I was very respectful. I said, look, I'm just coming to introduce myself. It wasn't even a sales pitch. I said, I'm just coming to introduce myself. This is what's happening in Oshawa. I've kind of identified your properties as good potential. And, they were very nice and upfront and honest with me and said, yeah, we'll consider it. And our price is actually $1 million each.
Yep.
I was like, cool, good to know.
Yep.
I was like, you're probably right on it. You have corner lots facing a main road. Yeah, you're probably right.
Maybe that's what you should have done to the other lady. Just said, "Oh, you don't want $1 million for your property? Interesting," and thrown out a number her way and see if that changed her mind. Because sometimes people don't realize, right? They're thinking you're trying to lowball them, but you're looking at the bigger picture, right? And you're saying, "Look, I'll pay you a premium for your property because I'm going to assemble it and it's going to have a higher and better use." So, maybe next time, maybe go back to her and see.
Come up with a new approach. Yeah, maybe follow up in a week.
Yeah, that's interesting though. I love that. So how are your own personal properties going?
Pretty good. So we have working on the one flip project right now. Flip, I would say, is 75% done. I think we're estimating another week and a half, maybe 10 days, around 10 days, and we'll be done. So that's exciting. And, there's recently a comp on the street that sold for higher than that I had projected and in an as-is condition.
What was it? How much did it sell for?
So it was listed for $549. $549, and it sold for $675.
For a semi.
For a semi in Oshawa, yeah.
Wow.
In the O'Neill neighborhood. And, the house was in good condition, but the renovations were probably from, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or so. Still a clean house, still, something turnkey.
Yep.
But, we're kind of looking at it as we're kind of bringing in the 2021 renovations. And, we have a much deeper lot. Our lot is 165 depth, whereas this one was 128, something like that. So it's looking good, looking promising. Renovation budget is on schedule.
Good.
We might come in shorter or lower, which is nice.
You'll find somewhere to spend it. Yeah, you'll find somewhere.
We'll find somewhere to spend it. That's that. And then the other properties, the 2 duplex conversions, both upper units are pretty much, 95% done. We're waiting for permits on both the lower units. So the permit process has been long. I'm calling the city every week at least to get an update. And
How many weeks in are you on those? Because I know we're like a week or
so one
two
of them
behind you.
we're approaching 6 weeks now.
Okay, yeah, not bad.
And the other one probably even longer.
Like 8 weeks, 9 weeks?
8 weeks maybe. And it's been a lot of back and forth. You know, we're and we'll get into it a bit more. But one of the properties we were doing HVAC design to update the HVAC work in the basement. And there's been a few rounds of going back and forth just on the HVAC drawings. And to a point where, you know, they said it was okay. But once we get into the later stages, you know, I guess I don't know if there's a change in personnel.
You don't have permits yet though, right? So the inspector hasn't come to your property yet.
So let me back up. Central Park, which is one property, we purchased that with an open permit.
Oh, right.
So we have a permit to go for that, but we're revising the basement because there was a room that they had designated as storage. We want to turn it into a bedroom, which means.
But you basically have to reapply it. You basically have to open up. Yeah. So it's like
yeah.
You have one open, but it doesn't really matter.
We have one open, but
this is the one you
amendments.
wanted 2 furnaces in, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us now, like, give us what's going on, what happened with the 2 furnaces. We might as well get into it now.
Yeah, sure. So we wanted to we wanted to put in 2 furnaces in the property for one reason, and that is to separate the ductwork and the return, so there's no noise travel between the upper and lower unit tenant. We decided to do that because upstairs we had already spent money putting in new subfloor, so we were, you know, really solidifying the base of the property. And then our electrical meters are separate, and we were planning on separating the gas meters. So we're saying if we're separating everything, why don't we just separate the furnace too, to just really have a really nice product that is everything is separate, right?
Makes sense, yep.
Tenants get their own bill for absolutely everything.
Yep.
It was great on paper, right? And we brought in the HVAC guys to do the HVAC drawings. We submitted to the city, and you know, initially they said, yeah, drawings look good, leave it with us, let us work on it. They came back once saying that, you know, sure, if you want to have 2 furnaces in the basement, fine, but you have to decide which one of the units your ductwork needs to be boxed in. So one of the units, all the ductwork has to be boxed in for fire separation purposes. We said, fine, we'll do that. I don't know what happened, if there's a person change or it hit the next step, but the next person that looked at it came back and said, well, hold on, guys, you can't have 2 furnaces in the basement anymore. The city of Oshawa has actually stopped doing that. So, you know, it was
It's so strange to me, though.
It was strange and confusing and annoying for us because, you know, it's been 8 weeks. And, you know, initially we were told, sure, yeah, your design looks good. You just need to make this change of boxing in your ductwork. We said, okay, sure. But then they come back and say, no, you can't do it. So now you have to redo drawings and resubmit it again. So you have to redo the drawings to essentially show that you can use one furnace and have 2 separate ductworks.
So that's just, that's going to kill your timeline.
It's just time. It's just a timing kill, right? But, you know, it's a timing kill. But then once you kill time, you have holding costs, right? You have mortgage, all your utilities, hydro, and property just sitting there. So, I mean, the way we look at it is that the market has appreciated so much that, you know.
Yeah, these are properties you're holding on to too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not like your flip property where you're, you know, you need the market to stay strong or comparables matter in the area where this, you know, it will matter for appraisal purposes, but in the long run, you guys you're hanging on to that one, right?
Yeah. So, you know, that's been the challenging thing with Central Park. It's just been submitting drawings and waiting for the city to say yes, no, revise this, and once you revise, oh my God, gotta play the waiting game again. Yeah,
it's the biggest drawback with legalizing a property, right? It's, you know, not even the you know, budget to complete or the additional egress window or, you know, 5/8 drywall. It's dealing with the city and you know, the disconnect they have between the people reviewing the drawings and then wait till you get you know, the inspectors come out and they don't even look at the drawings, right?
Yeah.
It's like, there's just a big disconnect in the different departments. So got to jump through the hoops. So it'll be worth it when it's done.
Got to do it.
Yeah. Good to hear.
So that's it with that. And the other one, floral, yeah, we're still just waiting for our initial drawings to get approved. So
Yeah, it's funny. We're kind of in the same boat, right? We have Madison going, and it's legal 2 unit as well. We have our, upper done, our demo done. We had our, we had a foundation crack that we had filled, and we're trying to do as much as we can. But even the upper plumbing, we want to close up we rearranged the bathroom a little bit upstairs just to make it more functional, and we're afraid to tile it or close it up because, again, they could come back around and say, open it up. We want to see it. So we're being a little cautious with that, but the flooring's done up there. It's kind of ready to go as soon as we get permits going for that one as well. So in a bit of a holding pattern with that one as well. And then we close Monday on our Ajax flip.
Oh, nice. Exciting. Yeah. That's been delayed too.
Oh, this has been, I can't even share some of the stories, but maybe next week after closing, I'll share what's happened with it. But there's been some weird things happening. All I'll say is we almost lost the deal. So I'll save the story for next week and once we're officially closed.
Right.
I don't want to jinx anything quite yet. We're supposed to close on Monday and, getting all that in order right now. And if that goes smooth and happens, it'll be a good little flip too. Nice. So,
good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Yeah. So we'll follow up next week on Monday. We'll start or on Thursday.
I got a story for you next week. I don't want to spill the beans yet, but that'll be it next week. Once I get the, the keys and, then I can let loose a bit, but I don't know if this gets released today or tomorrow. I don't want my podcast jinxing deals. So
the lawyers watching the podcast.
Hey, you never know. You never know.
I watch this guy on YouTube who is a real estate investor out of Windsor, I believe, and he was saying that he's going through a divorce right now, a nasty divorce, and he's like, although I'm going through a divorce, I'm buying a shit ton of properties. And he's like, and I just found out the other day that my ex-wife's lawyer just subscribed to my channel. So he's going to see what I'm buying.
People are watching. People are watching. You got to be careful sometimes when you're putting this stuff out there into the world, it's a little bit risky, right? And, we're trying to be open books and share. And, that's kind of the premise behind the podcast. But,
you got to time things.
You got to time things a bit, right? So
exactly.
Other than that, I've been just teaching a lot. Courses have been crazy. The number of new sales reps coming in is staggering.
So do you know what the number is of new sales reps coming in?
I get 24. I get 24 per session.
Yeah.
So each course that I'm doing is 3.5 days. March I did 5 of them. And there's usually about 2 going at a time, right? There's not just the one I'm doing, but there's usually another facilitator handling another group of learners as well. So I don't know, 24 times 10? So maybe like 240 sales reps per month.
Yeah.
250 on average. I would say probably somewhere in that range is probably a pretty good guess. But that's all over Ontario, right? So that's not just GTA. Like we got people from North Bay, Thunder Bay, Windsor, Ottawa areas. So it's that's the beauty of the Zoom doing it now, where you can get a lot more variety in the number of people that
come through.
Come through.
Nice. Cool. Okay, should we jump on to the next segment?
Yeah. So what do you want to talk about? Just kind of some of the market update a little bit.
Let's do a quick market update. On Oshawa and see what's happening. What are you seeing in the market?
Well, I was just going to say our last episode that we posted, right, was when the market was nuts, and then we had this little break here. So now it's interesting that the breaks happen because, as we were just alluding to earlier, the flood of listings coming on the market. And a lot of our listings and a lot of the listings that I'm seeing come on the market are all because of people just saying, whoa, I can get what for my house? If you get me that number, I'll sell, right? We were alluding to it earlier. Everyone has a price and a number that if you got to, everything's for sale, right? And, both of our investment properties are kind of investors that are saying, hey, if that's the comparable in the area and that's what you'll get me, I'll sell, right? It's just been, all over. And I'm not just hearing in Durham Region. I'm hearing it in Toronto. all of Ontario. And I think it's just that the natural ebbs and flows of a market. Once the price creeps up like it has, people go, okay, well, I'll sell, and then the inventory comes back on. And I think we haven't really seen prices drop yet, but I would expect either prices dropping or the inventory to lower back down of people just taking their house off the market and saying, you know what, yeah, if I don't get my number, I don't need to sell.
Yeah, I say the same thing. I would say we're noticing two types of sellers, and you said the first one. The first one is, I can get what for my house and going to market. And two, I would say it's people who have a few properties, and maybe ones that are just more so single family, or ones that don't really bring in good returns, and saying, if I'm going to offload a property, this is the time to do it.
Yeah. Well, we have the semi-detached, which is in the, high fives range with a tenant in it. Not getting any action on that, still on the market. We have our legal 2 unit, which is nice, separate utilities, separate detached garage in Donovan area, in around that $850 price point, which, there's been comps over 9, right? So it's not like I don't think we're reaching too high, but there is a tenant in the upper unit paying, pretty close to market rent, if not market rent, but still people are, for whatever reason, drawn away from that or would prefer to have their own tenants, which I understand. And those two are struggling, but yet I put up a $1.3 million house in Hampton, North Clarington. 4 days, we got full price offer, and we had 3 or 4 people interested. I actually had 2 offers on the property. And yeah, we got full price on that. It's supposed to firm up today. It's just conditional on financing for 3 days for a $1.3 million property. So, obviously it's a different type of property, but that had no trouble moving or selling. And, so it's kind of interesting. I find, maybe that's just me personally, but even from what I'm seeing, I think there's, just some variations in the market.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like homes that are built nice, that are very functional on good sized lots. There's the new trend of buyers who are looking to move even further east or further north, who want more property, more bang for their buck, and they're getting it. And those are actually doing fairly well. Like, you can look at cottage properties, super high demand.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off there.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that it's funny because the person who bought it was a realtor. So we were talking earlier about, realtors buying up properties, and it's like, I mean, again, there's 65,000 realtors in the GTA, so it is kind of a numbers game, but it's still funny how, realtors are driving the market too, and continuing to purchase and not having any fear. And
exactly. I would say the other thing that I've noticed with the market is that, and you kind of said it, right? So we're seeing a lot of people who are listing properties lower to try and kind of create that bidding war that was super effective, essentially all of 2020 and maybe January, February. But now we're noticing that it perhaps isn't working. And, you can say that, one, there's high inventory, and so, people are listing it low, hoping for a bidding war or multiples, and maybe they are getting multiples, but not at the price that they want. So then the price is changing, and the price is actually going higher to what they do actually want. So do you think that the approach is going to change as to how people start listing their homes? Like, are we going to start seeing people listing homes at the price that they want?
And we haven't seen it yet, though. People are still holding back offers, but, we did it with the legal 2 unit, right? And still didn't get any action on it, saying we'll take this price, right? But I don't know. I think we might. One interesting stat I heard, with a conversation over the weekend with a realtor at a different brokerage, one of the big brokerages, is showings. So they've noticed that, or their brokerage has noticed that there's been a 30% decline in the number of showings. So it's not just inventory coming on the market. There is less showings happening too. Buyers are fatigued, I think. Buyers are looking at the prices also, and there's only so many buyers that will say, yeah, I'll pay that price, right? And even in multiple offer situations, if there's 20 offers on a property, there's one winner,
Yeah.
who decided to pay that. You don't know what the other 19 have paid,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if the other 19 are not even close, and we've seen it before where there's a clear-cut winner where it's like, whoa, they are 50K above the next offer. And that's, maybe a flaw or a positive, depending on which side you're on to the system we have in Ontario. But I think there is some buyer fatigue as well, right? And people going, hey, I don't want to pay that price. The other interesting note is interest rates coming back up. The 5-year rate is now back over 2%. So, again, variable rate's still a really good deal at 1.35, 1.4. But the fixed rate is climbing, bond yields climbing, the 5-year rate. So I don't know. I think we'll see. We're still seeing inventory coming on quite a bit, and I know we talked about pulling down our 2 listings if it doesn't sell here in the next couple of days.
Yeah.
And, it'll be interesting to see how the stats play out. And, that's the beauty of this podcast, right? We're giving you the kind of real what's happening on ground level. You'll see the stats coming out for this at the end of the month or early next month, right? Which that's when people react and sentiment starts changing with people's emotions and mindset. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think we're, time is going to tell how this is going to work out, because you essentially need something to happen with the current high level of inventory. So it either needs to be terminated to come down, or it starts sitting on the market, and realtors realize that, oh my God, there's inventory that's been sitting, so let's try and give this a shot. And if the seller doesn't get what they want, then they're going to have to make a hard decision. Do we keep this or do we take this down?
And in the long run, you're still bullish on the area, right?
Yeah.
You still think prices?
Myself?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think, I still think that Oshawa is the cheapest. And we were on the Durham REI training Zoom call. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And, relative to everywhere else, we are still the cheapest, right? And again, going back to towns that are against the waterfront, you compare us to Oakville, to Lakeshore, to Scarborough, we're still the cheapest when it comes to, buying properties against the water or what you call waterfront neighborhoods. And I've said this over and over. What have I always said? I've always said that Oshawa is going to be
I don't know,
the new Scarborough.
The new Scarborough.
In terms of prices, right? Like, everyone is looking at Scarborough. Everyone was looking at Scarborough, a year ago, 2 years ago, being like, oh my God, Scarborough bungalows are worth $1 million. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And then last year I said, it's the wave is coming.
Yeah.
And sure enough, this year Oshawa is selling bungalows for $920, $930.
It's wild.
And then the next trend is Oshawa is going to be the new Pickering, where bungalows are being torn down and built into, 3,000 square foot 2-story homes. You're already seeing that in Pickering. You're seeing that not so much in Ajax, but you're seeing it in Whitby because there's so many bungalows in Whitby.
Yep.
Downtown Whitby, you're seeing a lot of, 2-story beautiful homes go up for sale. On Cochrane Road, or Cochrane Road Street in Whitby. Anyways, Cochrane, a very famous street a famous reputable street in Whitby. Bungalows are selling for $1.1 million. Yep. They're on a 78 by 200 foot lot, but it's being torn down and built into a nice mansion. Yep. With a huge backyard.
Land is always still valuable, and we're still big believers on that. And I agree. I love. I set you up for that question because I know the passion you have in it, and how fired up you get. And I mean, again, it's. I think we both look at this as kind of good buying opportunities, right? There's always these ebbs and flows in the market, and the people that jump in when people are all fearful and thinking, oh no, this is it, the market's now crashing, are the people that do the best, right, and have the most success in their investing and buying, right? So
I know I slowed down a bit, like, on the buying side, because, and I think we both did, we were like, we got quite a bit going on.
It wasn't anything other than I bought a new primary residence. I bought and I have both have three projects on the go, right? So and it's funny, now we've been getting our investors and telling them to buy properties, and we had a couple nice sales of investment properties that were really good buys that me and you probably would have bought as well,
Yeah.
but we just have too much on our plate. And
Yeah. And again, going back to realtors buying good properties, one of our off markets that I said I would have bought if this was in May.
Yeah.
Another realtor bought it.
Yeah. I love that story. I love the story too. I didn't even think, and I know this realtor too, and it was a good job. You pitched it to them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? And the realtor's like, yeah, I'll pay commission. And the realtor paid the 2.5% commission.
Yeah.
Even though, but good on them, right? He's an awesome dude, and he's going to be a powerhouse in the real estate industry as well, and he's smart.
Exactly.
And I think it's thinking bigger picture, right, and not just worried about the commission sometimes. And it's a cool story though, right? If you bring value, people will pay for it, right? If you have good deals, you find good deals, people will pay for them. So
and again, like going back to working with realtors, sometimes they can see past the risk, right? A lot of people, like, they bought this property assuming tenants, nothing signed to get vacant possession, sight unseen, no financing lined up, but potential.
Yep.
Right? You're buying this property for $560,000, $580,000, probably worth $900,000.
Yep.
You just got to assume a bit of risk.
No, exactly.
Apparently there's a leak in the basement. We go in the basement. There's no leak in the basement.
Mm-hmm. It's awesome.
So, love it. Great story.
Good. So I know we wanted to touch on anything else you want to chat about as far as market updates, what we're seeing.
No, that's good. Yeah.
The last topic that we wanted to chat about here this week was the big buzz around potential capital gains, that exemption on primary residence. So if you're not aware right now, if you own a property in Ontario and it's your primary residence, say you make, $500,000 on the increase in value and the mortgage pay down. Once you sell that property, all of that money is tax-free. Okay. Which again, because the market's gone up so much, we're talking big dollar amounts, right? And, it could be, or the theory is this is why people continue to take their equity and pull it and move it to a bigger home.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because they are saying, look, if I sell my house, I have $200,000 in equity, put that down in my new home, it increases in value as well. It's all tax free. So the thinking is that let's tax this now. Let's take that exemption away.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard it going up to 75%, but also just completely taking it away. What are you hearing on?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing the same things that you just alluded to, but I think what's why capital gains is such a big topic right now is because a lot of people use their principal residence as an investment tool and as a retirement tool, right? Everyone's hoping that their house average selling price is $1 million. If you worked and you have a pension lined up, having an additional $1 million can mean really enjoying your life to whatever extent you want, whether that's, buying a car or taking a vacation, a very nice vacation every year for the next 25 years. I think that's the problem here in Canada. I mean, it's not a problem, but it's how the system has allowed people to use their principal residence as a retirement tool. Mm-hmm. So I think that's why it's becoming such a big discussion right now. When compared to, we talked about this, when you compare a principal residence to what's happening in the U.S., there is no principal residence exemption. You get taxed on everything that you own there. But your mortgage is deductible. Mm-hmm. And that kind of falls into the strategy of...
Yeah, the Smith maneuver, right? Which I've been reading, read the book there and been digging more into that because it's an interesting concept. And I think it goes hand in hand with this, right? Where the main premise is that, in Canada, even though you get a capital gains exemption, your interest that you pay on your primary residence, you cannot write off, right? Mm-hmm. Where in the States, you can write it off, but capital gains, you have to pay tax on any mm-hmm. Increase. So the Smith maneuver's concept is that if you take the money that you have in your home, use it to invest, the interest then is a write-off, mm-hmm. right? So a lot of it is about getting some type of step mortgage or HELOC and, you know, helping pay down your principal residence quicker, you know, without paying as much tax, right? By getting a refund and using that refund to pay down your principal residence even more, more in lump sums, more of the principal paid down, so that you're not paying so much interest that isn't a write-off, isn't a tax write-off.
Right. So the idea is, you know, in Canada, they encourage you to purchase a property and use your principal residence as an investment tool. And, you know, we live in a highly appreciated real estate market where prices are perhaps doubling every 10 years. So, you know, you have equity, take that equity, invest it, you know, rightfully, buy the right product that generates, you know, cash flow for you. The money you've invested, write down the interest, write off the interest, but then the profits you make from your investment property, use that to pay down your principal on the principal portion and not the interest.
Exactly.
Right. So, I mean, yeah,
it would just be interesting to see if they now tax capital gains, will they allow you to write off the interest on your primary residence?
Mm-hmm.
Or are they still going to say you can't write off the interest and we're going to tax any gains? I think, you know, again, if you were just, it would, to me, encourage people to keep renting, right? Renting then makes a lot more sense than, you know, buying a home that you're paying tax on the principal, on the interest, and you're paying tax on any gains. Again, I would sit there and say, hey, why not rent, which you can write that rent off?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I feel like getting this through is going to be a very bad political move for whoever is in power. Whoever makes this decision is probably not going to be a favorable party by any means.
It's the liberals pushing this, right? Like, definitely not conservatives wanting this. And
no, on the other hand, you know, you kind of look at, I saw this number, apparently on an annual basis, the amount of income that the capital gains can produce is somewhere around like $7.1 billion a year.
I saw that too, yeah.
So when you kind of think about, you know, what's going on in Canada with the amount of debt that they have, you know, can you say that you do this for a few years to get rid of the debt? But people are smart. No one's going to be
liberal on me here. Don't
no,
go liberal on me.
No, I wouldn't. But I'm trying to think, you know, we clearly have an issue of high debt.
And the way the government spends their money, I'd rather have it to the person who's been taking the risk, the person who is, you know, trying to invest their money, trying to better themselves. Again, I don't want to go into too much of a political rant here, but I don't know. To me, I don't like it at all. You know, I think I think we want to encourage home ownership. We want to encourage people to have a nest egg, have a retirement. Why is that a bad thing? You know, and, you know, they're printing money right now. They're printing money. Their interest rates are at an all-time low. And then, you know, I saw another article where they're blaming house flippers. You know, they're trying to pin it on house flippers. It's like such a small percentage of the market share when they're printing trillions of dollars. It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah. The other thing we didn't talk about is, you know, if capital gains is removed, how do additional taxes like land transfer tax work? Because let's be honest, land transfer tax is supposed to make up that gap that capital gains exemption is.
This is it. It's great. Like, people are not going to get into housing, right? People are going to be like, wait, I pay a land transfer tax. I pay tax on any interest. I'm going to pay tax on any gains. And my income is already taxed as well. It's like you're literally being taxed from every which way. You know, again, I'm going to go rent, right? And a lot of the rich dad, poor dad, you know, Grant Cardone theories are, you know, primary residents are bad, right? And, you know, they're not an investment. They're not, you know, and I've disagreed with that only because in Canada of the tax breaks. If you no longer get the tax breaks, I'm going to rent. I'm going to rent. I'll keep investing because I'm already paying on my investment properties. You already pay capital gains tax. Yeah. Right. You're already paying that 50% capital gains tax on any investment properties. Yep. But the interest you can write off. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So nothing changes from that side of it. I'll go rent a primary residence and use the money, get it out tax free before this comes in, and take the money. And I'd recommend others to do the same if they do bring that in. So it'd be interesting to keep an eye on it.
Yeah, really nice to see how this plays out. Cool.
Love it. Good conversation. I think we're good for the week. Is that it?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah,
folks.
that's been awesome. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Again, if you've enjoyed this episode, feel free to watch some of our last episodes on our YouTube channel. Spread the word, let others know in the Durham region. And if you can, please like, subscribe, so you can be updated with our newest videos. So thank you very much for watching.